Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
You can hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Am I coming through okay?
Yep. Yep. I got you.
Good.
All right. Let's see. Says Kayden.
Yeah, and then
That's
Evan should be joining.
perfect. Perfect.
So
So,
I'm actually talking to him on Discord. So he
okay.
should
Well,
be.
nice to meet you, Kayden.
Yeah,
My name's Brandon. Glad to have you on today.
thanks. That worked.
All right. I'm going to send a link in the chat here. I sent an email this morning too. Not sure if you were able to read that. Just a breakdown of how it's going to kind of go today.
Yeah, I did get a chance to overlook that, and then I know Evan's been looking at it. He says he's should he drop and try and reach? There he is.
Nope, here he
Never
comes.
mind. Hello.
Howdy.
Hey, good morning. All right. How you doing, Evan?
Good, are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I just dropped a wheel into the chat there, or I'm sorry, I dropped a link into the chat, and that's going to be the wheel that we kind of select categories off of. But I'll get something pulled up here just a moment.
I'm currently looking for where the chat is.
Bottom. You have to.
Yeah, down towards the bottom.
Oh, I see it.
Should
Okay.
say. Yeah, cool. Does everybody have plans later this afternoon?
Yeah, nothing too exciting. Just working out and then practicing my parts.
Hey, right on. All right. Well, I guess we can. Is everyone ready? We can get started.
Yeah.
Yeah, were you supposed to follow along with something you posted? I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
There's a link to the spin the wheel category selector. I don't know if you
Why
can't.
aren't I seeing that?
It might have been posted before you
Join.
joined. Let me
Yeah, I can.
redrop.
Let me post it again in here. Um, it's kind of just fun. Get the thing going. If you want to share the screen, there's a little button down there to do so. If not, you don't have to. It's no
Oh,
biggie.
I see it.
Um,
Okay,
and then I'll
cool.
share my screen when I select the question. But before we get started with that here, if you guys both want to just kind of introduce yourselves and what your role is in the industry.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Evan?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Evan Stevie. I don't know if last names are important here, but I'll say it anyway. And from a band standpoint, I mean, I've got a not too much of a storied past, but I've kind of been doing it, doing the band thing, just pretty much only ever original bands, basically since I started playing drums, which was like 18. So I've kind of run through the gamut many times and with many different people and in many different ways. So but from an industry standpoint, I'm not sure the best way to answer that. I've always kind of seen original bands, especially locally, kind of as this little speck that maybe occasionally gets to be a bigger speck from the industry as a whole. But then again, on the flip side, because everything's digital now, like you kind of have a bigger space in the universe, but at the same time much smaller. It's weird, but as far as that goes, yeah, I mean, I've done everything from I've only ever been a drummer in that sense, but anything from like kind of closer to a hired gun all the way to kind of more of a band leadership role too. So yeah, does that answer your question, Brandon, or do I need to?
No, that's perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
just kind of want when people watch this, get to know who's speaking and kind of their background, what's going on. I have a lot of similar experience. Started when I was 14. Started performing when I was 15. Been in bands since then. Just the whole spiel. So, Kayden, if you want to go ahead and give your
Yeah.
introduction.
As far as modern music, I mean, of course, had was a band kid growing up, and got to travel Europe for a little bit with a fine arts camp band way back when. But kind of been in and out of the scene here locally and nationally since about 2008. And then around like 2012, 2013, one of my prior projects, Thera, started to get a little bit of traction, and we started wearing, or I started wearing a lot of different hats. So I've, pretended to be a concert promoter, pretended to be a tour manager, and in booking, and we were getting up to, you know, in the 100 to a couple hundreds of shows a year realm, and trying to juggle, being the vocalist, running the merch, advancing tour dates, stage managing, and that kind of thing. In this project, it's a lot more equitable as far as the things that we're doing. So Evan and I really kind of take lead on kind of the vision and what we're after. So we're both, kind of wearing uh, video director hats, and kind of taking the lead on merch decisions and everything like that. So this is nice to have more of a partner than trying to take on too many things myself. So that's kind of where it came from and where we are now.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. That's pretty cool. So where are you both located right now?
In the Twin Cities area, we're pretty close. I'm like in the south part of Minneapolis, and Evans a little bit northwest, but within the freeway bypass circle.
Hmm. Yeah. No, you were mentioning, kind of wearing a lot of hats and the roles that takes, and that is quite a bit. What you were explaining that's going on there, but a lot to juggle for one person, and it sounds like you guys have found a nice relationship between the two of you. That's really cool. What's the name of the group?
This group is XAETO, XAETO.
I'll type it in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah, that's okay, cool. So
Yeah, and we're billing it as progressive metal, but with our pop punk and industrial influences just creeping through.
nice, nice. It brings me back to some of my old days, like came up with Fear Factor and Machine Head and
Nice.
a lot of that good stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Sepultura. Um, miss some of that stuff. It's not what it used to be, but they still make some pretty good music, and be awesome to check you guys out. So at the end, we'll post some links and everything, and have you share
Cool.
some places to find your music. All right, so just two questions to get started with the whole thing. I'm just going to say, welcome to our Mental Health Mondays. Could you explain your journey into the music industry? You kind of did, but if you want to just kind of say, kind of what your journey into the music industry is.
Yeah, I'd for better for worse. I'm of an age where I was caught up in the Mark Wahlberg rock star movie
Oh,
kind of
that's great.
thing when
Steel
I was,
Dragon.
yeah, Steel Dragon, when I was younger and more impressionable. But then started out as a guitar player, got into that, and then just discovered that I could be a vocalist. I could make more aggressive noises, and if I practiced and applied myself, I could scream. And just realizing that I had a big craving for external validation and approval from others. And so once I got that, it was kind of game over, and I knew, or I've come to realize that that's always what I'll search for in my day to day, finding a source for that.
Yep, that makes sense. I can understand that. I think oh,
I
here he
think
is.
we
Lost Evan, but he's back.
There it goes. Yeah, and something that was I found was humorous about getting into projects in bands is that since the very first project I ever joined, I've I've always joined bands from Craigslist ads. So I don't know what
Cool.
that says, even in 2022. So
I've heard that from a few people that Craigslist is how they found their members. And whether they cycle through a couple or not, try a few out, it's always been Craigslist. It's rarely ever any other platform, maybe Facebook groups, but it's never been like, hey, I got it from Twitter or found
yeah,
this person off TikTok or something.
yeah. If you've got enough renown and people know enough about you, you can get introduced by word of mouth or through friends. But like anytime I've been looking on my own to join something, it's been that way. It's not all sunshine and roses, but I've gotten lucky quite a few times.
Sorry about that. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes, yeah, we got you.
Okay. Yeah. For whatever reason, my webcam on my computer just crapped out, so I switched to my iPad. So this should be good now. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries, no worries. As long as you're good, you got everything you need.
I think so.
Cool, cool. Evan, how about you? I don't know if it's along the same lines of the opening questions, but if you could tell us about your journey into the music industry.
Yeah. Sure. So, I mean, it comes down to like one really, really simple thing. I was listening to music one day, and I was in high school. I want to say junior year or so, and I was listening to Blink-182, and I just had a moment, and I had a moment where I kind of connected the dots where like if I can feel this good or think that this is so cool, I've decided what I want to try doing for me and to see if I can do that for someone else. Because it was the cool. I don't know if it's like the best feeling in the world, but the way I describe it is it's like I don't know. It's its own unique feeling. I think when you just kind of hit the right nerve with music and being able to do that kind of, from here, like you're pulling something out and they even, additionally cool, is you're doing that with other people too. And you can kind of get, some really cool outcomes for that. And then that's just kind of and ever since then, I've just always wanted to do that. So I felt inspired for drums specifically because I said, I thought to myself, this is a very I felt like at the time, especially, I was like 17, 16 or whatever. At the time, I was like, this is just an underutilized instrument. Like I'm so used to hearing songs with drums on it that they're there and they're great. So even sometimes they're catchy and simple and all that. Like you can dance to it sometimes, but like, kind of underutilized in the space of like, what if you did something totally different than you don't expect, or what if you just like play with all this complexity? And then from then on, it just kind of sorted. I said I wanted to do this. I've never really thought about any other instrument since then, and it's always just been drums. So,
Nice.
and then yeah, so I got a kit. I got a kit for what did I do? So I was very poor, a very poor kid, and I got my first chunk of money when I graduated high school, and I saved up about like $800 to $1,000. I forgot what it was. I bought my first drum set. Well, sort of. I had like a really crappy Pearl export, but that doesn't count. I almost quit playing that thing, so I don't count that at all. So I bought a real kit. I bought a Mapex Pro M, and then ever since then I started getting, and I was always like, I was even more lively and friendly and stuff as a kid. Like I just loved everyone, and I loved the whole camaraderie of the band, and everything band wise that happened basically since I was 17 till now has just kept kind of confirming why I like being in bands and doing this thing. So it really is that simple. Like I was inspired, and I want to inspire other people, and it's actually a shameless plug here on my tattoo, but it's why I got this. It's like, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but you've got hands drawing each other,
Okay.
right? So they're hands drawing each other, and then one
I
of the
see the
hands
hands. Yeah.
has a drumstick on it, right? So I don't know if you can see it, but this represents why I do this. And why, like, even if I only ever play to like, one person or make a difference to never make a difference, whatever, the fact that I'm doing it and the reason I remember the reason why. Like that's it. That's literally all it is. That
That's
keeps
really
me
cool.
interested. So
Yeah, that's really cool. It's like a calling, like
yeah,
just you had to do it.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I understand that too. Not necessarily with one instrument, but being in this industry,
yeah.
it's been a battle, but it's been a fun battle, and I'm happy to be where I'm at. It's great to hear other people's stories and such, but it's been the first 10 years of people going, you should probably choose something else, or might want to think about a different reliable future, and it's like no, this is just it. So
Nice.
yeah, awesome. And then let's see. What is the define? Well, you kind of answered that. I might have to change these questions up a little bit to open them up. But so what's the defining moment that made you realize that you wanted to be in the music world? And it sounds like that's kind of
Oh yeah.
close to what it was. Yeah,
Yep. 100%.
nice, nice. All right. Well, then let's get started with that. I appreciate you opening up with your stories. We'll go ahead and spin the wheel if you want, and then I don't know. Usually, so I was planning for about 30 minutes, but these have been taking up a lot more time, which is great. I'm happy to do it. So if you guys have an hour, 2 hours, whatever, we'll just go until we're good.
Yeah, I'm good. I just have a hard stop at noon. So
As
Cool.
do
Cool.
I.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, if you want to spin the wheel, and then we'll get going.
All right. Oh,
Do we both do it?
Well, that's you
Oh, it's a
can.
category. So
It's a
okay,
category. Yep.
I gotcha. So Kayden does it, and then maybe the next time I do it or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right. Tapping. Aha. Yes. Self-care and lifestyle choices.
Oof.
So,
Cool. So I'm going to share my screen here. I got all these nice little wheels over here. You said self-care, lifestyle choices.
yes, that is where it landed.
That is going to be right here. Give this one a spin. All right. Should I address you individually or as Zato? But
Probably.
I think some will be better individually, and some will be better as a group. This one I think is a good individual question.
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. What are some lifestyle choices you made to improve your mental health?
Yeah. One of the
Yes, Kayden, if you want to go first.
one of the, sure. Yeah. At at one point, or I've gotten better at realizing my limitations as far as how many things I can take on and focus, and learning more about how my brain and I work together. Um, learning that I do really well on when I really focus on fewer things, whereas if I get spread too thin, I inevitably will get distracted and pulled towards things that I'm feeling more about at the time, and then the things that I'm ignoring will fall off, and then get into a cycle of like, why am I this way? I'll beat myself up for not being able to be perfect with everything all the time. So making better upfront choices about what I'm choosing to take on, and where and then in turn making decisions on where I need help. Like, oh, I really want to edit this video, or oh, I really want to, plan out a weekend tour route, or booking shows, and then like I'm gonna need help with the business side, like legal documents, LLCs, and certain other things. So that's been a really big improvement that I struggled with for a really long time.
Yeah, is that something that you've learned? I personally, I feel over time that's you in this industry start being a yes person right away, take on a lot, you start to learn what you can, what you shouldn't do, where your talents lie. And then as you're mentioning, you start to find out where your priorities are and how to prioritize that. And I find myself in similar situations where taking on too many projects at once, becoming overwhelmed and almost what's that? You just kind of like freeze up because you have too many projects or too overwhelmed. And then you had mentioned, sorry, just
It's all
with
right.
legal documents and such, trying to gather all that. That's a whole another side of the industry, and trying to think with that side of the brain and such. So I can understand how that can be overwhelming. Have you found any um, tools or methods that help?
So yeah, for certain little things, like I needed help designing a logo, or I needed help with some other tasks where I could definitely, I feel like I could learn how to do them, but the return on investment, and I wouldn't consistently use them, is the big one is getting comfortable letting stuff go and trusting others to help you, and just being, being flexible and not so overprotective and controlling of everything you touch. Like that was a huge step, like just figuring that out internally. And then your world opens up and there's all these tools. Like I've used Fiverr, helping, asking the people, as if you sometimes you don't know what skill sets they have if you've never, opened yourself up to be receptive. So just like figuring out a way to just like look up from your table full of work and be like, where can I reach and where can I hand off?
Yeah, that's great. You can build a lot of great relationships that way. Find and build new relationships through tools like that, like Fiverr, like you said, and Craigslist is another one.
And
Um,
if you don't ask for help, people can't read your mind and they won't know you need, and they won't see if you're struggling before things catastrophically fall apart. So,
yeah, a lot of people have maybe need some confidence or encouragement to ask for help, but hopefully through hearing other people are finding ways to do that, they'll find a way to relate and can do it themselves too. Evan, how about yourself? Did you need me to repeat the question, or do you have
Yeah,
got
could
yourself?
you?
Yeah. Um, let's see. It was. What are some lifestyle choices that you've made to improve on your mental health?
Yeah, so this is tough because I feel like I'm always actively making poor choices on this, but um, uh, but one thing I have always been pretty good at, and I think really helps me compartmentalize things, and it is on this kind of the same topic of being overwhelmed and stuff, is discipline. I've always been pretty decent at self discipline, and I kind of built that. I mean, through my professional career before. I mean, it's always both, right? Because we have jobs too. But my professional career and just kind of my money management has always kind of has set the stage for me. No pun intended. Um, has set the stage for me to kind of not so much like deal with mental health challenges, but more so mitigate too many from happening or too many challenges from occurring. Because I wouldn't say I'm in a constant battle or I have mental health issues all the time or like think about it or even run into it all so much. It's really just I keep it on a very mitigated level because I feel like I stay disciplined and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with okay, this is what I can do, or like I just feel good about I can reach for this, and this, and if I don't make it, that's fine, like that kind of stuff. So, and that's helped me a lot because it's not just band stuff that can pile up, but it's like trying to do something like the most exciting thing about my day to day is probably the band, right? And sometimes it's just the last on the list to get some of the stuff done in an approach, even though I want to do it more than the other stuff, the cleaning and the your house is falling apart, you got to fix it, whatever it may be. So yeah, so I guess in kind of a roundabout way, it's I feel equipped from a discipline standpoint, and kind of just letting myself go easy, I think is one that I've probably overcorrected over the years, because there are definitely times where I'm just like, it's fine, I don't have to practice. It's fine, I don't have to do all this, whatever. And I can kind of use it to my own detriment, as a convenience at times. So I would say that's definitely a thing, that I try to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's communication's a really big thing. Like the I'd say the majority of challenges is just either disagreeing on something, which me and Kayden have done plenty of times, right? And it's just talking it out. It's not always the most fun convo or whatever, but like, as long as you have, it really is like the marriage, right? It's a 5-way marriage, 4-way marriage, 2-way marriage, however you look at it. It really is that way. And as long as you're open to communication and that you're not too stubborn, where your way or the highway isn't your conclusion, most things can just kind of get massaged out. And if it can't, the time heals all wounds. So put those two together, and for the most part, I think I've learned to be pretty successful in that way, or at least from within, to like hopefully create a successful person to be in a band with, but also find ways to continue to be managed myself as well. Like, am I good with stuff? Am I cool with this? And all that. So yeah, kind of twofold. Kind of on the workflow level, keeping things disciplined, and then on the personal level, which can absolutely run into mental health a lot. It's just like, I can't deal with this. I don't want this to happen or whatever. And it's all about communication. It all comes down to that. There's really no other way around it. So.
Yeah, awesome. That's very insightful. Couldn't agree more. Communication is great. That can't everything breaks down if you don't have communication. But you had also, what you were saying in the beginning is what I'm hearing is kind of similar to what Kayden was mentioning, is where you can't take on too much. You kind of know your balance, you know your limits, you know what you can put on your shoulders before, and then you find your composure within that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably why you have such a great working relationship together, is you kind of are able to tackle things and projects on the same with similar perspectives.
Yeah, I think we link up pretty well in just the general outcome and goal is to do stuff and get stuff done. Like we always land on that, right? We might, I might say, hey, let's do this. And, we might be like, maybe we don't do that. And then, whatever, vice versa. But at the end of the day, both of us very strongly want to do stuff, right? I mean, and we want to do something with the band, and take as much as we can get, throw, roll as many dice as we can get our hands on, and just go for it. So that helps, right? 'Cause so if
Yep,
we're
making
back
moves.
and forth on stuff, like at the end of the day, if we both just want things to be successful, or do a thing, we're gonna likely agree somehow to get there, how to do the thing, right? So yeah.
Yeah, we had a recent conversation where, like, it's like, hey, this thing is cool and we should do it. And then the conversation was, yes, but we've got these other 3 things that I don't know that they're, worried about fighting priorities, and, like, just getting spread too thin. So
Mhm.
just, but actually talking about it instead of being like, nah, you're dumb. You're
Right,
not doing
right,
that kind of thing.
right.
That's bad. And then actually talking about it, because it's very easy to, like, while you're running about your day, just running things over and over over in your head, and making up this, like, vilifying this other person, that, if you actually talk to them, be like, oh, that's what they think. Well, that's a very interesting way of putting that, and I hadn't thought of that. So, like, actually talking to the person instead of just getting trapped in your own head.
Some of the simplest things. But also not that easy to approach always, though. Such a simple idea, but sometimes it's hard to approach a conversation or a topic like that. But it's great to hear your perspectives. Great to hear what you have to say. Let's move on to one more question, or another question, just so we're not sitting on the one. If you want to spin the category again, then I'll select over here.
You want me to? I'll do it this
Yeah,
time.
Let's have Evan spin.
All right. I could grab the iPad and show you, but I feel like that'd be a bit crude.
That's all right.
Creative process and mental health is the category. Creative process and mental health.
Cool.
1 sec. I gotta put the dog upstairs.
Cool. We'll take a little moment here. Do you have any shows coming up?
Doggo.
Oh, hey, puppy.
Shows? Yeah, we actually have one. Shows for it. We actually have one
On the 4th?
Yep, of November. Yeah, sorry, I should be specific.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool. Where's that gonna be at?
It's a place called Pillar Forum.
Okay.
That's in I forget what city that's in. Kayden knows.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't either. It looks cool. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we got the puppy outside.
Am I echoing for you guys?
No, but there should be a echo cancellation button. If you click on, do you have a settings option?
Let's see. Yes. It says mute speakers. Oh, is it because you took your screen? Oh, we'll wait till you spin the question and unshare, because I'm getting like a question, double feedback. Yeah.
Yep.
Double feedback. Yeah.
Huzzah! All right. We'll say, do you have any rituals or practices that help maintain a healthy and creative mindset?
I like to pretend I don't, that it just magics itself into existence, but that's not really true. It's not as, not as romantic, I guess. Or you could make it. These are the things I do. For me, it's more a matter of making myself sit down with the intent to make something and just doing it, and not putting so much pressure on the actual specific outcome. Just making a habit to sit down and, like, I want to make a drum beat, or I want to come up with a melody, or like making a soundscape for a set interlude or something like that. Because there's the motivation trap, and things where, like, well, I'm not feeling very creative, or I don't feel like I can make something cool and that I'll like. And that's not true. You just have to keep creating and not put so much pressure on the individual outcomes. So just making time to sit down and do it is very important. And then beyond that, like, whatever helps, a cup of tea, I get this special drink, I'll go for a walk, those kind of things. Whatever helps you, just do it. That would be my advice. And don't be afraid to make crappy stuff.
Yeah, got to get those ones out of the way. I think that saying is, what is it? The master has tried more times than the apprentice has failed, or the artist, or the artist will wait for inspiration, but the master will do it anyways and find inspiration in the act of doing it.
Yeah. They're you can roll your eyes at those sayings, but they've stuck around for many reasons.
Absolutely. How about yourself, Evan? Any rituals or special practices that you like to do before to keep yourself in the right mental space?
Guilt.
Guilt, shame.
I'm searching within to find the real answer, and it's guilt, probably. Very rarely do I create because, well, that's not true. Honestly, I got to say it's about 50-50. 50% of the time, I'll create because I'm just like, oh man, like I listen to something, or I'm like, hey, you know, how are our demos doing? Or I'll listen to like an old song or an old idea, and I'll be like, oh sweet, okay, I'm doing this. I'm gonna bust out the computer. I'm gonna start dicking around with drums, or I'm gonna go play for a little while, just because that's just fun. And sometimes I'll do that without any intention at all about keeping a part or doing it intentionally because I need to write or we're missing drums on a song. Sometimes I just do it and play it and then forget about it. I've written so much stuff that I thought was so cool that I just kind of let it be mine. You know, oh, that was cool, and it's extremely egotistical, but I'm just like, I just want to be able to like have the space to just play sometimes, like, and just be like, oh, well, that was cool. You know what? I don't have to remember it. I don't have to make sure it's a part of the song. It's just like, hey, that was cool. And, you know, I still got it. Like, I remind myself, can I still play? Like, can I still come up with stuff that I think is cool? Because that's all that matters, right? But yeah, so yeah. But the other half of it is guilt, right? If it's like, you know, I let a few days go by, or it's like, man, I really haven't touched my drums in a while, or it's, you know, it's a responsibility to you know, whoever I'm in a band with. Like, the other dudes is like that it's not fair to them if I'm like not on time, or like, you know, if my chops aren't up to speed, or, you know, I can't make it through a whole set without passing out, or whatever the case may be. There's a responsibility everyone has, but of course me as well, and me included in that. That yeah, it's some of it's guilt, and that just kind of goes into the discipline piece, where it's like, okay, well, you know, eventually, if you acknowledge it as a responsibility that you have, and you acknowledge that you need to have self-discipline to execute it, that just becomes a routine and a ritual at some point, right? It becomes kind of part of it, and it's not really, and it's hard to resent it. Like, there's sometimes I really don't want to play. Like, there's a couple, you know, every once in a while we'll have a band practice, and I'm just like, that's actually the last thing I want to do today. But then 20 minutes into the set, I'm like, yeah, I wanted to do this anyways. You know, it's just kind of, maybe it's tricking yourself a little bit, but I think that's part of being an adult for anything. Like, you trick yourself into doing stuff, and eventually becomes routine, and then it can you know, become kind of, you know, a good thing. Or, hey, I like that. Like, for a while there, actually, this reminds me, I have to get back to doing walks, because I did that for a while. Like 10 minutes in, or it's just like starting it is the hardest part, right? Starting anything on a routine is like the hardest part. But once you start it, it's like, oh, this isn't so bad, right? So it's a lot of that, I'll say.
Yeah, awesome. What immediately when you were saying that, I was like, guilt? Well, it sounds kind of like discipline to me. And you eventually came
Yeah,
all the way back around
well,
to it.
both.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, can they be the same thing? I mean, they're not, you know, one's a negative, one's a positive association, but you know, it sounds like that guilt, or that is able to fuel your discipline. But it doesn't sound like maybe it's quite a negative thing for you to have that guilt, or it's more
Right.
of a positive for the discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, for folks watching it at home, you can utilize guilt, and it can be a bad thing that you just need to get rid of, because I've caught myself feeling guilty or feeling bad for things I have absolutely no intention of changing or fixing, and that's just a waste. But if it's something like, I feel bad about this, and you use that guilt to make a change because you think you would feel better if you did it differently, and like, it's within your means, go for it. But carrying guilt on things that either you don't have control over, or you have no ability or intent to change, isn't anywhere near as useful and can really drag you down. So, like, if you can use it, keep it, you know. And this is just guilt surrounding inaction or bad habits specifically. You know, that's something I'm working on myself.
I understand that. Things, even a couple nights ago, I was like, I kind of feel like having a drink, but that means I have to go all the way to the store, you know, spend money. Like, it's the whole action. Like, do I want to do that? Well, okay, yeah, kind of. So then, you know, maybe a little bit of maybe a little bit of guilt. And then for next time, you're like, oh, I got that out of the way. So then that discipline can come in, and like you said, if you don't need that guilt, if it's something that you can't change, you know, about yourself, maybe something like, I'm not the best singer. I feel guilty if other people have to hear me sing. I don't really try and do that around other people, but I don't stop it. I don't let it stop me from singing. or from at least creating things and recording and such.
Yeah, you don't. If anyone's listening, you don't have to be a great or even good singer to write good vocal parts.
True that. True that. Let's see. We got 20 minutes or so. Get another one going. Kayden, would you like to spin the wheel again?
Yeah. Here we go.
I think it's a fun little thing.
Yeah, Kayden's elated. Look at him.
Spin. All right. External factors affecting mental health. Is that washing machine?
No, it's Chance. He was scratching himself and his bone was hitting the floor. I'll show Puppy. Hold on. There he is.
Oh, cute.
He's a little shit though. Yeah, he was with my webcam earlier. That obviously messed up. You could like kind of see him in the corner sleeping like a little angel. Now he's up terrorizing stuff. So
yeah.
What's the puppy's name?
Chance.
Kit. Nice. I caught the relation. All right, let's go. All right, this is for either one. Do you think there is a link between substance abuse in industry and mental health issues? How can this be addressed?
I'll take the first part of that question. And my experience would be personal experience would be with alcohol. And then I've seen a lot or I've been around the use of marijuana, THC related products, and I think that alcohol is a big problem. As you're having a bad day on tour, rough day on tour, have a drink and you won't care, or have 7, however, wherever you are in your alcohol journey. The show, no one's here. I don't have the motivation to play. Have some more drinks, or like, we're in a van outside in December and it's cold out. Have some drinks, you could sleep better, kind of things. And going to shows, playing in bars, getting all these big concert venues with like these walls of beer taps and booze wells. It's just, for the mainstream stuff, or for a lot of people, they just go hand in hand, music and alcohol, and also music and drugs with the rock and roll lifestyle. Not to say that there aren't plenty of all ages and sober spaces, but I think there's a big perception that everybody does it, and then there's the reality that a lot of people sure do it. So I think there's a big push in culture towards using and abusing all sorts of substances, but in my experience, especially alcohol, and it's not viewed as a negative, and it's not really talked about that much, or nearly enough.
I would definitely understand and agree with that. The ease of access with alcohol. Here's some drink tickets. Your band's going to get drinks. Like you said, every scenario pretty much on a tour can involve alcohol in some capacity.
Do we want to eat today, or do we want to drink?
Mm-hmm. Or some people, I've been in situations where, people not wanting to eat just so they can have more of a buzz. Yep, I understand.
Yeah, it's a way to cope with. I'm not saying it's a good way, but it's a way a lot of people use to cope with the unpleasant sides of the being an artist or creator in the industry that people don't really talk about or necessarily. Well, you know what? It's 2023. They probably want to hear more about that now, but there's at least coming from, I'm like an elder millennial that grew up in a small town in the Midwest, so nobody wanted to hear about that kind of thing. But I think people are more receptive to it. But it just needs to be a bit of an attitude shift.
Yeah, or moderation, maybe not trying to disassociate from your feelings by diving into alcohol, learning alcohol to use like, 2, 3 drinks as a social lubricant or something. But it's the escapism or trying to run away that really can start to cause issues, and then the dependency comes through that. And I would agree there's a huge stigma and perception that 90 to 95% of the industry is saturated with some sort of substance involvement, but
Yeah.
that's not always the case as well. There's, like you said, the garage in Minnesota, there's sober venue, or Burnsville I should say, all ages and such. So yeah. How about yourself, Evan?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, your question was two parts. The first one, I think, yeah, I mean, it's synonymous. I mean, mental health and substance is 100% synonymous, maybe 99, but I tell you what, anyone who doesn't use it related to mental health issues will then get mental health issues. Like it's not really something you can truly separate if you're doing it as like a, like in any real way people use it. It's like, even if you're not, if you're not kind of on the trained alcoholism or whatever, and you're not abusing it, you're still doing it because it's fun, but it's fun because you're escaping. That's why it's fun, right? So, I mean, I would be hard pressed. I would actually be kind of an interesting debate or like an argument to really dig in. Like, can you really ever use substances in a way that's like 100% like removed from mental health issues? I would argue no. But yeah, no, and you guys touched on a lot of really good points there. I wrote down a couple of notes that I didn't want to forget, but so I'm not like looking at something else here. But yeah, like the main place to do what we do is at a bar, right? And then, like you said, drink tickets. That's Brandon. You said drink tickets, and I was going to bring that up too. Like that's just like, hey, we're rewarding you with more of the stuff that you struggle with. Here you go. And the bigger thing I think culturally is it's the silent killer. It's just it's like it's maybe worse than most other drugs. Realistically, that's my opinion on it. And that's come from someone who is happy to drink a lot, but that's part of the problem. It's like a slow killer. Like it's something you can do for years casually, and then before you know it, it's like, wait a minute, could I even stop? Like it's that kind of stuff, and just kind of gets closer and closer to like being more and more part of your routine. And I'm obviously speaking to experience a little bit here because I definitely do that. Like I've drank more than I ever have these days. I still feel mostly normal. Like, wait a minute, but I'm not going to just wake up one day and be an alcoholic. It'll be like, wait, I was on that. If I end up that way, it'll be like I was on that path for years. I just didn't see it. Like that's how it happens, right? But that being said, like we've got some close people that I know. Me and Kayden both know, indirectly or directly, band related too, that that kind of went through the whole journey as bad as it could be, or at least really close, right? And like we're all close to it, and then it's still just like, I wish it scared me a little more, seeing some of what can happen with like friends or people we mutually know or whatever. And so it's a tricky one because I also get a lot of positive stuff from drinking, whether it's social or I have more fun at shows or whatever, or maybe I perform better. Maybe that's a total cope, but whatever it is, there's pros and cons, and it's really really hard to weigh it because, like I said, can you really truly separate it from the bad stuff? And I don't, we probably can't. So that's something that's ongoing for me. That would be a great topic for me to be like, okay, where do I struggle mental health wise? 100% with drinking, because I'm more anxious than I used to be, like by default, but I'm less anxious because I drink more to cover for it. So the thing, so I used to be anxious very rarely, like as a kid especially, like very very rarely would I ever really get anxious about anything, even like right before on stage. I'd be like, yeah, let's go, let's do it, let's go, you know, that kind of thing. But now it's like I can't play a show without getting a couple beers in me, you know. So it's like I've been like over time compensating, and I'm like, wait a minute, this has got to hit critical mass at some point, and I don't want it to be there when it happens, right? I don't want to have to
Yeah.
deal with that. So it's like a
Good.
constant like
Good.
you know what, yeah, push it, but that's a whole nother, like, that's a can of worms. So it's synonymous, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And then to fix it, it's just, it's, if it wasn't alcohol, it'd be other drugs. If it wasn't other drugs, it would be something else. Like, this is kind of just, this is very human. I think it's a very human experience to find ways to do it, whether it's, even if, you know, drugs didn't exist or alcohol didn't exist, people would do it with you know, unhealthy addiction to like video games or whatever it is, whatever helps escape, whatever helps numb, or whatever helps distract. It's always going to be taken. So, you know, there's no solution, but I think things like this podcast are just like encouraging people to say, hey, let's talk about this. Like, maybe there's no solution, nothing gets figured out. Talking about it is, I think, about the best we can go, because it's just like, there might be some other band that's like, wow, I didn't realize everyone was so dysfunctional as me. What, this is so relatable. You guys are all alcoholics. That's cool. You know, so you
And
know,
on
so
the on the
yeah, go
on
ahead.
the on the flip side, us having our separate but shared experiences with someone that it we can you know realize that it's hurting in a really bad way. There's also a little bit of like, well, at least I'm not that person. Like, I'm not doing that poorly, so I'm fine. And then you
That's
look
another, yeah.
and you see like this like, you know, hill of people like, oh, wait a minute, that there's a lot of people that are up there and that can be okay. Shoot. Shoot, I'm
Yeah.
just on the last stop before I'm, you know, passed out in my underwear on the floor and some fluids kind of situation. So it's the prevalence also warps your perception of what is normal or what normal could be for you. Like, normal is a dirty word, but like just like a space where like I could live in a space where I'm not, you know, putting down a half a bottle of whatever to just deal with what life is for me right now.
The ease of access again, it's just, so available. And then it's just like, oh, it's just right there, like you said, other narcotics and substances would probably be would be an issue as well, and still are. But uh, exactly why I wanted to start this is having those conversations, finding other people's perspectives. I've had my own experiences with drugs and alcohol. These days I use CBD and some of the THC like variant products that are helping. But I pretty much sober these days, maybe a couple beers. But there was some years where I was pretty hard into some heavy substances, and I had some terrible experiences and some wonderful experiences. But ultimately, it comes to the understanding of who you are, the moderation, but not escaping. It's not running away. It's like, I truly don't want to run away from anything at this time. More so, bring things to light. Let's try and figure things out. Let's try and figure out, like you said, have these conversations. It's just starting the conversation. So we have about 8 minutes left. I don't think we have time for another question, but if you both would like to give everyone information watching at home about XAETO and your own personal, where they can find or reach out to you if anybody wants to work together.
Yeah, the probably the easiest stop would be Zato.band, so XAETO.band. That's our website. You can find all our social medias, our YouTube, easy ways to get a hold of us. Zatoband@gmail.com. We've got some shows coming up. I don't know if they'll still be out by the time this airs, but we're going to be playing around the Midwest at the end of 2023 and throughout 2024. So look for us on Bands and Towns, and if you want us to play near you, shoot us an email.
Perfect. Well, Kayden and Evan, thank you so much for your openness and your honesty and your insight on today's podcast. It has been fun. It's been awesome hearing from you, and we'll hopefully have you back in not too long.
Sounds good, Brandon. Thanks for having us, buddy.
See if we've taken any of our own advice.
Yeah. Check in with us on that.
Yeah, this is secretly a big mass psychological project.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep. Later.
Bye bye.
Later.